Hi, everybody. This is Kerristen, and thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the Relocate Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify, YouTube, or Apple Podcasts, I just want to take the time and thank you so much for your support. I've been officially doing this journey of podcasting for over a year now, and I'm very excited for what the future holds. So, thank you for listening. I hope that you have learned something. Matter of fact, if you feel compelled, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Threads. I think those are those are the only two social media channels that I do have. But send some love. Let me know how you feel about the podcast, anything that I can do to make this experience better for you. Drop a comment below this video if you feel compelled to mention how this episode and any other episodes have been for you. And I also have a survey on my website that I have now for people to be able to leave feedback. With that being said, today we have Keith Jones. He is a mushroom wellness practitioner, originally from Columbus, Ohio, and he relocated to Sacred Valley, Peru in August of 2024. I've learned so much about Keith within the past few weeks. His journey has truly been transformative. Let me tell you how transformative his journey has been. He has lost over 100 pounds. 100 pounds, y'all. So this episode is going to be jam-packed with some gems. This episode is going to be very impactful. We're going to learn a lot. We're going to walk through Keith's life and his journey and how it has been a spiritually transformative one. And I hope that you leave feeling very inspired and very compelled to reach out to Keith and get some feedback from him, ask him some questions about his experience. Follow him on social media too. I'll make sure I drop all his information in the description of this episode. So, yeah, Keith, thank you so much for joining. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you so much for all the kind words. I'm Keith, aka Docs. I'm a mushroom wellness practitioner from Columbus, Ohio area, and it's an honor to be here today. And thank you for having me.
You know what? It's an honor to have you, Keith. I'm very excited about this conversation. I'm always trying to figure out ways to keep people engaged about things that they may not have considered when it comes
Mhm.
to relocating. And I like to think that the people who have been listening are very open minded people and people who are willing to get out of their box. Because if you're going to do something as major as leave the country in which you are from,
Definitely.
that's already a get out of your box type of experience right there. So,
100%. 100%.
yeah. Yeah. So, you know what? I've never been to Ohio, but I've heard about Columbus. Yeah. How was your experience like growing up and living there?
So being born and raised in Columbus, Ohio, I've always kind of been in that family-oriented Ohio State Buckeyes football Saturdays, like that was our barbecue, backyard barbecue, get down. Like that's the lifestyle I grew up in, you know? I'm sorry, I'm a Buckeye to the death with me, like, and that's just something that I kind of grew up into. And then growing up, I always have had that hustler spirit, that ambition. So, like, working hard and going after any goals and ambitions that I've had. I've been working a 9 to 5 job or just some form of employment since I was 14 years old, like, since I was legally allowed to. And before that, I always remember my friends would call me K Sneaks because I would buy and resell sneakers on OfferUp or Facebook or different things like that just to kind of establish myself and acquire a form of currency because I wanted to find a way to help myself, help my friends, help my peers, and just help my community as a whole. And as I grew older in Columbus, Ohio, I found it was a struggle to find that. It was difficult for me to find that sense of community, especially a community sense that I resonated with specifically. There was a lot of sense of community, but some of those community spaces I didn't feel were aligned with my ambitions and my passions and a direction that I would want the collective communities to go into, which led me to my own entrepreneur endeavors. I was running my own solar company business for 2 years, traveling from Ohio is where I started off. It led me to Baltimore, Maryland for a while. Then I was working and selling the solar in Virginia Beach. I lived in Philadelphia as well as Wilmington, Delaware. And then ultimately, during the end of the pandemic, the business came to an end. I came back home with my family. And that's when I was kind of really going through it. Seemed like a dark night of my soul. I was kind of going through some toxic patterns in my day-to-day life, toxic relationships with the people that were around me. And I feel like I reached a spiritual plateau in my journey. There was things where I mentally felt like I knew everything. I had all the answers. I didn't know what I exactly was doing wrong and why I didn't have the quality of life that I desired. If I knew I was the master manifester, why couldn't I be where I wanted to be or be where I aspired to be? What problems was I still facing? And I came to the realization that I didn't have all the answers and there's something bigger that I'm missing here. And so I just was in a state of yearning for answers, greater sense of clarity. And that's what honestly led me to traveling beyond the United States. The very first time I left the United States, I was 13 years old. I went to Mexico. I went to Cancun and I got to visit Chichen Itza, the sacred ruins and pyramids there, which was very eye-opening. So since a young age, I've always had this very burning passion and desire to see the world and what was out there. But I didn't leave again until I was 21 years old, I'm sorry. When I traveled to Peru for the first time by myself. Now, what led me to Peru specifically, um, I was led to a BIPOC only retreat group called Illuminating Color, based and operated out of the Sacred Valley of Peru. They host plant medicine healing ceremonies with sacred master plants like ayahuasca and wachuma, as well as sacred psilocybin mushrooms as well. And as I said before, I was in this state of yearning for this grander experience or a deeper dive into my spiritual journey. And I was called and led to sit with the master plant, which is ayahuasca. So that's what led me to Illuminating Color. And I went there for a 2 week long retreat. And in that 2 weeks, I was blown away by everything I seen. The small fraction of Peru I had seen in those 2 weeks alone was enough for me to lose 25 pounds, move home, and distance myself from those same toxic patterns and cycles that I spoke on previously, and start mapping out and planning my relocation journey.
You mentioned earlier that there were interests that you had prior to leaving that made it difficult for you to, or not difficult for you, but more so challenging to really find a community and build connections in a way that spoke to you.
Mhm.
What were those interests?
Definitely. So some of the interests that I really was seeking that I didn't really find was sustainable living, different things teaching of the community about agriculture, about farming practices, how to grow and be self-sustainable without the system that we are all connected to. I wanted to learn how to have that level of self-sufficiency and be able to fully thrive. Learning how to acquire land ownership and acquire generational wealth without generational debt as well. These problems that most people in our generation are facing in late stage capitalism, whether it's outrageous student loan debt, difficult housing economy and housing markets, and all of these problems that we face. I didn't find a sustainable environment that was giving me the proper mentorship and guidance that I needed as a young black man in his 20s who has the work ethic, who has the discipline, who has the drive, but doesn't have any avenues, spaces, community groups that are supporting that and uplifting that. So that's some things that I was yearning for and I was seeking, that I was struggling finding a connection to, specifically here in my city of Columbus, Ohio. Ones that were rooted in and in alignment with specifically African based spirituality, um, simultaneously decentralizing religion.
In my head, I'm thinking, I don't think Ohio has that, but I don't know. I've never been to Ohio.
Right.
I've never been.
And you know, something that is also crazy is after I had left, I traveled for a year. I have had the privilege to be back now in this moment in Columbus, Ohio. I've been here for the past 2 months, and these past 2 months have been so eye-opening for me. So, yes, I understand the beauty that is there in the Sacred Valley. I'm returning on Monday. I can't wait to be back. But I have learned that the beauty that I see in those sacred lands is also here in the United States. And the sacred energy is definitely here. The community is here and the people are here as well. And I needed to do the internal work I needed on my own soul to reach a certain frequency, a certain resonance, if you will, to even be able to attract those groups and attract those qualities of people. So, based off of me doing these work in the mountains with the plant medicines, with myself, deep self-reflection and therapy sessions, just doing the uncomfortable, difficult work, processing those deeply stored emotions and traumas that we don't acknowledge from our early childhoods, so on and so forth. Doing that work, it has allowed me to embody and become the pillar and the individual that I want to see within my community
I love that.
in Peru. And now that I came back here to my hometown to visit, I internally had a sense of dread and hesitation, but that was all dissolved when I came here and I was met with so many like minded individuals and so many strong leaders that are here doing the work that I didn't see before. And I understood that I had to become the change that I wanted to see in order to see that change in the world. So now it healed a lot in my heart, and I'm excited to go back to Peru to continue to learn, to continue to walk my own path so I can continue being of service and providing my path, my journey as a lesson and a learning and a reference point to people from my city and people from all over.
And I'm so glad that you spoke on that, like how you were able to see your community for what you wish it had prior to you moving. I'm glad that you spoke on that piece. So the resources are there, y'all. I
That's the
stand
thing.
corrected. The resources are there.
The resources are here. The thing is, they're hidden from us. They're diluted. And once we obtain the resources, there are so many powers that be doing everything in their power to strip them from us. So I understand now the power and the strength that is here, but I think we need to learn how to defend and protect the safe spaces that we have and defend and protect the resources that we have, how to keep our dollars in the black community for longer periods of time, to continue it circulating into rooms and spaces that are growing, serving, and expanding black communities versus depriving them. And so I figured just in my personal journey, the best way that I can learn how to be a leader, be a mentor, and maybe be a coach to other individuals on how to protect their resources and how to be that in their communities is go to a community where I can have that here and now. I can have resources. I can build myself up to a state of being, um, and learn how to protect myself, protect my energy, protect my boundaries, and learn these things that's not the same environment that broke me. I don't believe that you can heal in the same environment and conditions that required us to heal in the first place.
Okay. Good gems. Good gems. Okay. Love it. You probably could have chosen any retreat. There's people hosting retreats in Bali, hosting retreats in Chile, like all these different countries. There's retreats in Mexico, and I know you said you've been to Mexico. Like that was the first country that you visited, aside from being in the U.S. But what was so compelling about Peru?
I say this. to this day, I did not choose Peru. Peru chose me. Peru truly did choose me. I was one day, I think I was scrolling on Instagram. I hit the search bar and I seen my explore page, and I think it was just a picture of a guy standing in these mountains. Now, that guy is now one of my closest, dearest friends, Asar, the leader and host and owner of Illuminating Colors, the retreat group there in Peru. For a while, I just followed him, seeing his journey, seeing what he was doing. That's when I learned of Illuminating Color and what was going on in the valley and the work that they were doing. And from this perspective and this point in time, I'm 20 years old, I'm 330 pounds, I'm extremely unhealthy, and this doesn't seem real to me. Like, I haven't been to Mexico since I was 13. Half the time there, I was on a resort, so it's basically America in Mexico. It's really not the true, authentic experience. So I'm still operating from a place of just stigma and presumption, and just preconceived notions that have been programmed into the psyche from just being born and raised in America. And so I'm seeing them traveling and going on these long hikes and working with these plant medicines and healing their nervous system, reprogramming their nervous system, healing their psyche, removing dense energies that we carry in our auric field, all of these things. And to me, it didn't seem real. Like, these are things that I dreamed of, that I knew that I was working towards, that I was in seeking community for, in hopes of one day visualizing and manifesting. But to see it already being done, that's something I had never seen. I seen he had an upcoming retreat, and I said, okay, I'm going to take a leap of faith. I don't know what's in Peru. I've never met this man. I've never spoke to this man. I've just been watching for a while from a distance. I see he's been doing the work. I'm going to take a risk on myself. I'm going to take a risk in the universe. And it was a pretty big leap. I booked the flight. I got all the way there. I didn't know if I was going to get picked up from the airport or not, and if I was going to be just stranded in a third world country, didn't speak a lick of Spanish, anything. But lo and behold, that bus was there waiting for me, and it led to the biggest transformation in my entire life. Still to this day, that has probably been the most transformative weeks of my entire life. Like, it has truly been the pivotal moment from a steady decline to a nonstop incline. And so I truly have to have just deep reverence, gratitude, and respect, not only for myself for taking the leap, the universe for being there to catch me, and my friends, community, and Illuminating Color for doing the work that they had done previously to create that space and container for people like me from the United States to do that work and to start taking that path in an easier way. Because before we're able to change our external world and what our circumstances are, we have to change ourselves internally. We have to be able to change ourselves from the inside out to see those results come into fruition. For me to even lose that 100 pounds, I felt like I had previously dropped 100 pounds of emotional density, emotional trauma, mental trauma, which led into the physical weight dropping off. So yeah, I feel like it has to start there.
Was it the retreat that led you to move to Peru, or was it another factor that influenced your decision to move?
So, from going to the retreat, spending the 2 weeks there, seeing me losing the 25 pounds, meeting the great, amazing people, having the experiences with, for the first time, sitting with the grandmother, which is ayahuasca, and that sheer experience alone is what called me to make that step and make it a constant thing in my reality.
I actually had another person who moved to Sacred Valley on this podcast, Kiori. She mentioned, you know Kiori, right?
She's a good friend of mine. Yes. Shout out
Yeah,
Kyo.
yeah,
Shout out KJ.
yeah. Y'all gotta catch her episode too. It was very eye-opening, and how she defines home.
Mhm.
That's something that's gonna stick to my memory for a very long time. But she mentioned that the elevation, she didn't really take
It's
her body
roughly
didn't
around.
take too well to it.
Mhm. you're
with
about
seizures and
10,000
whatnot.
feet in the air.
Yeah.
So that definitely is a huge, huge difference. Those 2 weeks when I went there, they were a struggle. Like, they were not easy. During the retreat, taking hikes up of the local ruins, Pumawanka, going to a natural or an indigenous temple of the priestesses of the Quechua descendants. That was a 4 hour hike. And, being 330 pounds and also the air being significantly thinner, that is not easy for most people. So it took a bit of adapting, but I think that that challenge, that drive, being thrown into an environment where it's constantly reflecting back to you the state of dis-ease that you're operating in. You see nothing but growth around you. Simply walking up the stairs is improving your ability to breathe. And I'm an advocate believer that the quality of life is determined by the qualities of breaths that we take. So if we're able to, connect with our breath, connect with our bodies in better ways, that's beautiful. And if the air is thinner, we have to be a lot more intentional with our movement, intentional with our breath, and intentional with everything that we do. A joke with me and some of my friends that we have is like the Sacred Valley is like the hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball. And if you don't know what that is, it's like in the anime, they go in and it's like a day in the real world, but it's like 5 years have gone by in that room because the level of intention and the pressure that is there, pressure in a good way, it's truly transformational.
Thank you for
But
that.
even thinking mentally, aside from the physicality aspect of the um altitude and the thin air requiring you to physically slow down, I have found that the pace of living is a lot slower from the hustle bustle culture that we have here in the United States. That you gotta go, you gotta get it, you gotta get that bag, you gotta hustle. It's very different there. I'm gonna go with the pace that's comfortable for me. If I have an appointment tomorrow and the doctor doesn't feel like being there, they're not gonna be there, And so mentally, to me, I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, you're not gonna show up, But they're like, hey, listen, like, I'm, I got some seasonal depression going on, I gotta cry a little bit, maybe stay in bed. I could maybe push your appointment back an hour or two. Your United States born and raised brain is gonna be like, bro, what you mean? We don't do that, Like, this is a business. This is how we do things. But I had to reprogram that as well and tell my brain, slow down. I don't have to be there right now. It is okay to wait. And then also, even if I am uncomfortable, that is promoting more reflection and growth in my own brain's nervous system to say, hey, you can't do anything about that. So it's teaching you patience, it's teaching you that maturity to just kind of go with the flow and be in a state of submittance to the universal flow of life and how things are progressing, and realizing that we may have some control, but there's a lot of things that are outside of it. So it's no need to take on extra stress and anxieties when it's beyond us. So I found a lot more peace in my body once I was able to let go of that hustle bustle I needed right now and as fast as possible ideology.
Gotcha. And that's a lot coming from someone who at an early age had multiple entrepreneurial endeavors. Like
Mhm.
I bet that in itself was very
The solar business alone, I was working on average 70 hours a week. So,
oof.
working 70 hours a week from marketing, interviews, training, orientation, and actively making sales. You're hitting 70 to 80 hours a week because you're doing it all yourself. You are the recruiter, you are the hiring manager, you are the leader, you are the coach, you are the trainee, and you're the sales rep. So it's like being in that position, I thrive in those spaces actually. Like, I am a very goal oriented person. And so I'm like, okay, if I see a goal, I will work myself to exhaustion. But I constantly, after entrepreneurial endeavor after another, I keep seeing this common denominator, which is I reach this point of burnout and then everything crumbles. And I reach this point of burnout and then everything crumbles. And I'm realizing that I have to prioritize rest and recovery and my own mental, physical, and emotional state of being to have these successful entrepreneurial endeavors, because they go hand in hand. Rest is a part of the work. If I want to be able to show up efficiently, productively, and make sure that I can maintain this empire and foundation that I'm growing, I have to make sure I'm well rested and strong enough to take on that journey.
You know what? I'm gonna mention you in a social media quote and what you just said about rest is a part of the work because that is so true. Like I don't subscribe to people who mention like I'll rest when I die, like hustle, hustle, hustle. No, baby, that's not me. I need my 8 to 9 hours every day.
Yeah, because you're running to an early grave, you know?
Yeah,
I'm gonna make sure that, you know, I can rest when I die, but I want to make sure I'm well rested when I get there too, you know, like, and making sure that that day is extended as long into the future as possible. So, you
mm,
know, overexerting ourselves, it's not healthy. It really is not. And
it's not.
the same way we said before, ensuring that, or if we desire to have a change externally, we got to change internally. And it
Yeah,
was uncomfortable because you can logically understand something and see the lesson in it, but it's different when I ordered my food 45 minutes ago and my body is like, bro, I'm hungry. Where my food at? And you want to, like, and you see in the waiter and walking back and forth, and you're like, you want to be like, yo, where's my plate at? Where's my food at? You know? But you
yeah,
also know, like, they're making everything from scratch. My food doesn't have red 40 in it and so much processed foods and ingredients that I don't know how to pronounce. You know, so it's like I understand that that is something I'm extremely grateful and it's an honor to have access to. So if it does take a bit longer, if my pasta noodles are made from scratch or fresh wheat, like I will wait 45 minutes. And it's just catching yourself in that moment when your body wants to scream because you're hangry to be like, hey, yo, calm it down, you know?
yeah. I love that. I love that. Okay. This is the Keith show. So we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it all because I'm sure that your experience on that retreat and just how you perceived how you perceived your experience during that time is different from actually living there because you went from visiting to living. Like I always tell people, if you want to move somewhere and you have an idea where you want to go, it's great to go and visit,
Hmm.
but I can bet your bottom dollar that visiting is different from living there. So, how was your experience of transitioning to Peru, and what would you say were your biggest mental or emotional challenges from that experience of adjusting?
First, transitioning to Peru, some of the big things that I struggled with that I majorly noticed was how I still operated on the previous systems and ways of being that I was trying to step away from. And then realizing that yes, we can go to these new environments, we can go to these new spaces, we can go to these new places, but if we're carrying those same traumas inside of us, they're gonna come in those spaces as well. So understanding that this is not just go to Peru and all your problems go away. It's we're in an environment, in a space where we actually have the ability to work on our things in a productive manner and get through them. So like that was a huge reality shift to me. I thought that like I'm not the problem. The problems are gonna fade away when I leave the US. It's ingrained in our fabric of our being. So that was a huge shift that, you know, I had to deal with changing from going there. Also, this may sound stupid. Ranch dressing. I'm sorry. I love me some ranch on my pizza, French fries, anything like that, a salad, I need me some Hidden Valley. And in the Sacred Valley, they don't got no Hidden Valley. And so, me, my whole life, dipping everything in ranch. I'm running up and down these mountains, searching everywhere left and right for some ranch. And everyone was like, yo, it's not that important. I'm like, nah, man, listen. I ain't had this in about 2 months now. I'm tired of this mayonnaise. I'm tired of this ketchup. I need me some ranch. So like small little things like that. Definitely we're like, okay, I gotta adapt to this change. Not having a Walmart, not having a Kroger's, like you're thinking like, oh, I can just go buy and load my fridge with frozen foods and just go like, no, that's not a thing. It's like now I have to think, how do I make pesto from scratch? Like those are the things you have to think about. And I know that that's a beautiful thing to go through, and that's a huge reason why I wanted to move there. I have access to the fresh market and the fresh ingredients, and I have to make my pesto from scratch. But I think that that's something that we've lost touch with in the United States, and just systems of capitalism across the world in general, is the innate nature of just our everyday things that we do. We're so quick to try and get things in a convenient manner, but we've lost touch with the organic aspect of it. And we are organic beings. We are an extension of nature. We are nature. We are not an extension. We are it. So to try and shortcut that or bypass that, I think that's where a lot of our issues come into play. But the same thing with me being upset that my food is taking too long. I'm upset that I can't just grab a jar of pesto. It's like you shouldn't want to grab the jar of pesto, because it's processed and all of these other things. You should want to make that fresh pesto. So those are some of the things where it's like, okay, I know this is what I need, but why does my brain still want the thing? So those are some things that I have been adapting, but I think that's just something that comes with time as we continue to grow. And it's like a snake shedding its skin. It's just another one of those layers that are coming off with time, slowly but surely. But there are times where I'm like, dang, I want to go to Walmart. Or also, I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'6", 200 pounds. Like, I wear a size 13 shoe. Everybody in Peru is below 5 feet tall, basically, for the most part. I cannot find my shoe size any shoe store, any mall, anywhere. So, anytime I want to go shopping, I got to order online, things like that. That is another struggle that I have came across transitioning from Peru. But on the positive aspect, um, or have learned that when I am able to make my own pesto, and I am able to take my pair of Doc Marten boots I've had for 6 years that are falling apart to the shoe store and talk to the mamita, and we come up with a new design and put some new stitching, and it looks like a whole new boot, but it's now wearable, and I'm actually using my shoes till I can't anymore, like the best of their materials. That's something that brings my soul joy. I don't know why, but like removing myself from like materialism and just truly using things and getting down back to just the basic essentials of what life is. I feel like that's something that I'm yearning for and that I'm connecting with. So it's like when I go to the store and I go to the market, I'm like, ah, dang, I wish I was just a jar of pesto I could grab. But when I take that first bite of the homemade pesto, even though it took a wait a little bit longer, I'm so much grateful. I'm a lot more grateful that I did, and you can feel it, taste it, and the experience of just the food overall. And that goes for things beyond just the food, from interactions with people at the stores to taking out your trash. It's like the trash lady is meeting you at your door, like in the town of Calca. Every day at 3 o'clock, the trash ladies walk down the street, meet you at your door, and take the trash from you personally. Like, I think
Wow.
that's so, most people, they're like, oh, I just want to take my trash out, throw it out. It's a nice. You're understanding how real every part is. When you throw it in the bin, you don't think about it again. When you get handing it to the trash lady, you're actually knowing this lady's taking this and disposing of this in a proper place. So it puts a little bit more gratitude and respect into just how people consume, and waste reduction, and all of those things. So I think the intentionality and slow pace may be difficult to adapt to, but overall, it's for a good cause. I think that comes back to the base question that was asked.
Now that was actually some gems that some people probably didn't know about. 'Cause I definitely didn't know that it would be difficult because I wear a size 9.
Hmm.
I don't, I don't know if I'm gonna find my shoe size there.
Now I will say I found a 12. I found a 12, a men's 12. So I
Ooh,
think that's a women's 14, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah,
So you should be good. But my toes would be crunched up in there, and I don't want to do I don't want Frito toes, So
Frito toes.
hey,
Oh gosh. Okay, that was funny. Okay. Uh, Frito toes. That is so funny. Yeah, we don't want Frito toes. Not for you.
yeah, we
Not for
can't.
you. Um. So community. I think that's something I've noticed through this conversation. Learning about what kind of inspired you or what kind of led to that point of you wanting to leave Ohio, let alone the US. And so now you're in a whole new country. And I don't want to spoil it. I'm gonna let you talk, but I'm gonna ask like, how were you able to find that community that you were yearning for when you were in Ohio?
So what personally led me to finding all of the things that I was yearning for here in Columbus, Ohio, in Peru, ultimately was the same struggles, trials, and tribulations that most people do face here in the United States. Going to Peru and traveling there, being in the Sacred Valley with a town population of 1,000 people, it's very small, it's very close, it's very intimate. And there's not a lot of people of color who have the ability or access or even simply just a desire to travel to Peru or the Sacred Valley specifically due to just not knowing what's there, not knowing the history or something that would call them there. Um, and so due to that, it leads to a lot of stigma, wrong assumptions based off of people of color, and just microaggressions and blatant racism. These things are problems that we do experience, that people of color are experiencing in Peru. And going there, being there, and being the only person of color in my town that I seen for a few weeks, it can be tough from when you grow up in a predominantly black neighborhood, a predominantly black environment, to being the only black individual in the space. It does make you feel isolated. It does make you feel secluded, and like you want to reconnect with your roots. However, we have learned that there is such a vibrant and alive Afro-Peruvian culture that is there, but they are a bit more hidden and a bit more reserved due to protecting themselves from the masses and the problems that were just discussed previously. And to counteract that, it's something that I could resonate with, I could get back behind, and that resonates with kind of the things that I spoke about previously that I wanted to actively be a part of within my personal city. And so the way that I found that I was able to do that is by building and sustaining um, proper eco villages or healing containers from people of color from the United States and globally to come to Peru and begin this healing journey. In Peru, what that's led to now is our group Melanated Magic. We are Melanated Magic Sacred Valley on Instagram. There's roughly, I believe, 70 members or so in our chat and in our group. But the core group members, we have about 30 individuals who are amongst the Sacred Valley, Black, Indigenous people of color, who are promoting events, speaking out against these injustices, and making a huge difference in the valley to where now we are seeing a flooded influctuation of Black individuals in the Sacred Valley, and it's beautiful. When I joined, even just when I first arrived, I think there was maybe 5 to 10 people. So to see now 30, 40 plus individuals who are now close, active members in the community showing up, hosting events, supporting others in their events, and kind of just just circulating this energy and this love and this respect and just growth oriented mindset, I see how it has gained a heartbeat of its own and is continuing to radiate into our communities around us in Peru, and now hopefully radiating that out to the world so we can bring people into that heart center, to start doing that healing work that's helped not only me, but hundreds of other people, and specifically the other individuals who have felt called to live there full time and do that work.
I'm curious. Some of the people that are in that group, are they actually from Peru? Is it just
Yes.
like a mix of people from the
So
States?
Hmm. So we do have a mixture. We do have tons of Black, Indigenous, Afro Peruvians. One specifically, my friend Chayo. Chayo is a born and raised Afro Peruvian man. He's a Rastafari musician, Jamaican musician, and
Wow.
he's such a vibrant soul. Every time I've spoken with him, met with him, connected with him, we just had a frijola, which is basically the Peruvian barbecue. We got our Sunday barbecue with the soul food. Peruvians, they got their frijola. Everybody comes through, the fam comes together. We eating good food, drinking good drinks, good music playing, good vibes. I've realized how similar and how much we have in common, people of color and African descent globally. Our traditions, our practices, our way of being, our way of living, they show up, because it's just inherently who we are as melanated people on this planet. It's just who we are sent here to be. That shows up the same no matter which culture you put us in, no matter which region of the world. It's just going to have a different flavor. So, yes, people like Chayo. I have a great friend, Jimena. She's actually touring South America right now, performing, doing concerts and tours, which I think is so amazing and so beautiful. And even the curanderos and curanderas, the shamans that I work with at the Aini, not the Amalai community in Peru. They're all doing these works, to help support the indigenous and Black communities of Peru and the surrounding countries as well. So, yes, we do have a huge expat population within the group, people who have relocated and moved to Peru. However, it is balanced as well with actual African indigenous, Peruvians who are born on the lands and are actively playing a part in this role as well.
And I love that so much. You get a mix of people that can kind of relate to your transition from the States to Peru. And then you have the Afro Peruvians who, just my advice that I mentioned to people who are new to a certain area, it's so healthy to have people, natives of that area in your circle to help you get acclimated to things that you wouldn't normally see.
A hundred
Just
percent.
my
A
feedback.
100%. I have a close friend of mine, a dear friend of mine. Her name is Dominica. Um, a beautiful Peruvian woman I met, in the Sacred Valley, and she's actually a chef. And we would go to the markets and go grocery shopping together. And just a way that she alone helped me so much is understanding the prices of these things, not knowing the currency exchange. And like, I make US dollars. So I think that my US dollar is, 3.8 times more than the Peruvian dollar. Like one US dollar is 3.8 Peruvian dollars or soles or something like that. Um, but it's just overall a stronger currency. So when I'm going to the market and an entire watermelon is an entire seeded watermelon is $4, I'm thinking that's amazing. But she's like, it's $2. She just charged you double the price. And I'm like, I didn't know these things. And so going to the market, like from time to time, it's not a problem. I do understand the currency exchange, and I don't operate from a mindset of like gentrification. I don't want to increase the prices of this place, or I don't want the state and flow of living to be impacted by my presence. So we doing the most I can to give back to the community. But however, I do want to go to the market and get my fruits and things for the prices that they are for everyone. I want to find different ways that I can pour and give back to the communities than being taxed extra for my day-to-day items.
Right. It's like the non-native tax.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And from time to time I can understand it. Like with housing, it's not a problem. I understand it. I know I'm on average going to spend about 150 bucks a month in rent. That's something that I don't have a problem with. But it's if I'm going every single day to the market, I'm talking to the mamitas in the mercado, and I'm practicing my Spanish, I'm working on my accent, I'm learning the language. You see me every day, and then the guy in front of me, I just heard you charge him half the price. Like, you want to get to that point where it's like you're building a sense of familiarity and adaptation within you and the community as well, to where it's not like us and them and us. I want to create that like equality amongst us all. But in order to do that, we have to, you know, oh, mamita, I thought it was two soles, not four. And she's like, oh yeah, it's two. And then it's as simple as that. But you just have to know and be aware to even make that little adjustment happen.
Right. I was going to ask you about your Spanish now because I know when you went to visit Peru the first time, you mentioned you didn't know Spanish. That just wasn't a thing
Right.
for you back then, but it seems like you've been really immersing yourself in the culture.
Yeah.
Do you
So
have like any feedback from how you were able to like really do that other than what you've mentioned so far?
So I personally actually I feel like I struggle a lot with it. People tell me my Spanish is very well, but I also think the people who are telling me my Spanish is well has never actually been in a Spanish speaking country to know. So you can speak like a 5-year-old and it sounds like you're doing great. But I did Duolingo every day for about a year. I did fall off last month, so I haven't been on it. But I will say basic communication, I'm there. If I need to order my food, if I need to give directions, ask the cost of something, tell someone, oh, I need to pick my clothes up from the laundromat. Like I can have those basic level conversations. I can speak about how I feel, like I feel happy, I feel sad. But ask me a complex question about my opinion on the universe, I would not know where to begin to like articulate that. So like I can do the basic up, down, left, right, go here, go there. I want this. Do you know this? But when it comes to articulating those more profound thoughts or ideas or concepts, I don't have the vocabulary for that yet. But I know it'll come with time. It will come with time and immersion. Something I'm super excited for and something that I've been stepping into is um, leaving my 9 to 5, which is in the United States, and stepping into full entrepreneurship. And so when I go back to Peru on Monday, that's something I'm stepping into. I will be the head chef of a high-end restaurant in the Sacred Valley moving forward. So working and living and being in it all day, I know I'll be speaking Spanish a lot more. My 40
Yeah.
hours a week previously was primarily just English. So by the time you feed yourself, do your self hygiene and catch up on the phone with any friends who actually speak English and understand you, you're not getting that much practice aside from your 5 to 10 minutes of Duolingo. But I will say, if you can find a way to fully immerse yourself from the day to day in the town, in the place that you are, you will be so ahead. I know people who have been there half the time I have, and they're speaking way better than me. But it's just because they've had that hands-on in it for an extended period of time. I could be in Peru and not speak Spanish for weeks if I didn't want to, you know? So it's just making that active choice to immerse yourself and do those things.
Gotcha. Ooh, side note. Congrats on the role, the chef position, head chef.
Thank
I
you.
love that.
Thank you so much. If
Yeah.
y'all are
Ooh,
in Peru, Pisac, Peru specifically, come the Altar Cafe. I'll be there. Holla at your boy.
is there wine by any
Yes.
chance?
So it's actually I wouldn't even know how to describe the type of cuisine. But it's like a winery, charcuterie board, like cheese and crackers type of thing.
Okay.
Sharshuka and different things of that nature. So it's a pretty nice restaurant. Peru actually just won the number one culinary country of the world
I saw
in
that.
2025, and they were also the winner in 2023. I personally, I enjoy cooking, but I enjoy cooking for other people. I never really cook a lot for just myself. So I'm interested to see where the culinary avenue leads me on my endeavors.
Think I have two more questions, and then we're gonna wrap it up because it's been a great conversation. I did receive a question from one of my viewers. Shout out to Lena,
And shout out Lena,
based out
shout
of,
out Lena.
yes, shout out to Lena, based out of Houston. I know you just like you've been there for about a year, but can you speak to what you know about the healthcare services there and maybe the price of healthcare of what you've noticed and how some of the processes there are similar or different from the US?
Definitely. So I personally can't speak too much on hands-on experience that I've had. I haven't had any work done or connected and engaged with the health industry there in Peru myself, but based off of word of mouth and connections from peers that I've had living in Peru for 8+ years now. They've told me that it's some of the best healthcare that they've seen, and some of the most financially affordable, from dental work to doctor's appointments, and also holistic dental and holistic options as well are very accessible. I have a friend who actually was just, I had several friends. It was actually kind of funny and annoying because I've met at least 10 people all recommend me to this same holistic dentist who apparently cleans your teeth so amazingly. Like he did such a good job. They questioned everything dentists were learning in the States. Like, so that's just some things that some friends of mine have communicated to me. But once again, I haven't had any firsthand on experience with any healthcare work myself. But I hear it's extremely affordable and they take amazing care of you. So if that answers, I hope that answers some questions that folks out there may have.
You know, I got another question. You said holistic dentist because I've never heard of that before.
Really?
Yeah. What is that? What is
So,
that?
basic from my understanding, just from in regards to the cleaning of the teeth, and then like whether you're getting any work done, any like medicine they're providing you, it's all holistic. There's no pharmaceutical drugs or anything of that nature. Everything should be fluoride free, and in its most organic and natural state. So yeah, I know they have holistic doctors here in the States, but I'm not sure if they have holistic dental work. But there in Peru, it is a huge offering there for holistic healthcare as well. Even it blew my mind when I walked into the local corner stores and the local just like CVS markets or like just the pharmacies, and they have like bottles of psilocybin mushrooms that they give to people to help with anxiety and depression and emotional regulation. These are things that they understand and they've been working with for thousands of years. So due to this long historical connection that they've built with these plants, they have this confidence and this awareness of how it works to put this on their shelves and confidently give this to the people of their community.
Okay. I got another question.
Mhm.
So right now you're working but remotely? Like a remote
No.
position?
So right now I'm fully in my entrepreneurial endeavors until I do begin my chefing position at the local restaurant. But right now my offers, I do offer an 8-week therapy session. It is an 8-week long microdosing session where me and you will connect, we'll understand where we are currently on your specific journey, any problems or obstacles that you're facing in your day-to-day path, and how over 8 weeks you can be guided to connect with yourself deeper with the help of the psilocybin to overcome those obstacles. And then I also have a microdosing master course where I'm teaching individuals everything I said previously and more in regards to how to open up, facilitating, and cultivating that safe, sacred space, not only for yourself, but for others as well, and getting someone up to a point of knowledge and awareness and just confidence that is required to step into doing this type of work with other individuals, because it is something that is very serious, especially when it comes down to plant medicine, other people's psyches, and dealing with mental health overall. So I do have that master course, which leads people down the path of understanding everything they need to start this journey if they feel inspired to do some of the things that you see me doing now.
Y'all
And
heard
also micro
Keith.
hikes. I do
You say
micro
what?
hikes every now and then. So
Mike? Yeah, I saw that.
I actually just had the honor of hosting my very first one here in Columbus, Ohio, but primarily they will be done and hosted from the Sacred Valley. And what the micro hikes are is just a micro dose, sub-perceptual level of psilocybin mushrooms that we are consuming to boost neuroplasticity and neurogenesis within our brains as we go on this hike and connecting with Mother Earth, the elements around us, nature, our bodies, our breath, and promoting this just an overall healing and safe container for people to grow, evolve, and get whatever it is that their spirit's in need of at that time.
Yeah, y'all heard Keith. And like I mentioned earlier, his information's in the description of this episode, so reach out. Okay, last question. So,
So,
we had this conversation about kind of like a timeline of
mhm.
your life from Ohio to the pivotal moment that led you to visit Peru and ultimately relocate there, some of the emotional and the mental aspects that played a role in your decision to leave the United States, and then this whole process of adjusting that was, I'm sure, a journey within itself. Based on everything that you've experienced throughout your life that led you to this point now, what words of advice would you provide to the younger version of yourself? That version that was in Ohio trying to figure out what's next. Something has got to give. What's next?
If I could give advice to the younger version of myself, what I would say is learn how to be comfortable letting go. And that's letting go in all aspects, submitting and releasing old thought patterns that aren't serving you, old friends, family, that could be jobs, safety nets, comfort zones. We have to be able to fully let these things go to step into our new reality. And this is something that I'm still integrating at this exact moment. I've let go of the friends, I've let go of the toxic family. I've let go of limiting beliefs and thought patterns that weren't serving the new version of me that I was walking into. And now I'm learning to let go of this idea that I'm in control, that I'm pulling the strings. Because I know the universe is flowing through me, the universe is pulling at me, God, the Most High, whatever you want to call it. These powers that be are also, and my ancestors as well, they are a guiding force in my life, and it's not just me. So knowing that it's not just me doing this work and that it is of divine ordinance, I have to submit to the things into the unknown. So the more comfortable that the younger version of me or anyone else out there can be with submitting to the unknown, I believe your wildest dreams can come into fruition. We don't have to know what it's going to look like all the time. We don't have to know how we're going to get there. But if you just take that first step, I promise you the powers that be will meet you halfway. You just have to have that courage, especially as Black men and women from the United States. We need to have that emotional courage to go into a state of vulnerability, to say, I don't need to be tough, or I don't need to live up to the expectations of what friends, society, family may have for me. And once you let those things go and step into your fullest, most authentic version of yourself, the highest timeline that you could desire will present itself.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It truly has been such a beautiful honor.
I should have asked you earlier whether you preferred to be called Keith or Docs because I realized that you have nicknames. So that's something
Hey,
I didn't
you
ask,
know,
but yeah, so glad to have you.
yeah, I go by Docs. Y'all guys can refer to me as Docs. My mama named me Keith, but it goes both ways, As life goes, I'm learning to let go of all the titles. I am that I am, and I'm always going to be that is. So, yep, you guys can call me Docs. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you for this space and all the work that you do and are continuing to do for this platform and for this podcast and just for the collective.
And thank you too for dispelling. I'm just gonna say this: Blackness is not a monolith. If you don't take anything else out of what I've ever said throughout the 30 or 40 some odd episodes that I've had and people I've featured on this podcast, Blackness is not a monolith.
Hmm.
And I'm very grateful that there are people out there like Docs who's really living in his truth and not really subscribing to what everyone else thinks that Blackness should be. So very grateful. When I tell you I'm very grateful to have you on here,
Thank you so
it's from
much.
the
Like,
bottom of my heart.
deeply, deeply. Even now, my heart is buzzing. It feels open, and I feel joyful. I've never been um, given the honor to have a space like this to share my story and to articulate myself. So it's truly been a pleasure to share my story, to document that and share that with the world and with your platform. So thank you so much again for the work that you do. And I can't wait to continue seeing more episodes moving forward.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what the future has for you.
Thank you
Um,
so much.
gonna
Hopefully we
keep.
see you in Peru in a while. We're looking forward to have the Valley host you. Come on out, see all the magical vibes, and see what the land can do for you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
definitely,
And
definitely.
yeah, and everyone who made it to the end of this episode, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all are thebomb.com.
Thanks,
And I want,
guys.
yes, I want y'all to tap into the resources that are present as far as what Docs is doing. Maybe go back into some of the episodes I've had in the past and tap into those resources too, because there are people. There's a lady I spoke to from it. She lives in Italy and she's been there for 13 years, maybe 15 years now, because it's been a minute. But I didn't know there was a spiritual community in Italy. Like people are out here and they are healing themselves
Mhm.
and doing great things in the process in great places. Tap into the resources. Like y'all really do have options, but
We
Docs just gave y'all a
worldwide, man.
million reasons why y'all should
Worldwide.
consider Peru. Yeah. Oh,
It's beautiful.
y'all.
Thank you so much. It was an honor. Thanks to everybody who's listened. It was a truly a pleasure, and y'all have a blessed one. Alrighty.
Yeah, y'all have a blessed day and see y'all on the flip side. And
Peace and all
subscribe.
praise.